So I've been taking many of my stories, I realize, from a collection of stories that I have called Allenthology. At one point, I'd self-published a series of collections containing stories that either I had published or that had been sold or published elsewhere, and I gathered them together into one volume and published that, really to kind of put it behind me and stop thinking about those stories instead of trying to keep sending them out again and put a little bit of a wrapper on that set of stories. This is the last one in the book, and it's based on T.H. White and Mallory. It's called The Sword of the Stone. It's called The Stone in the Sword, I should say, but the derivation is fairly obvious. Deep in the woods, where the trees broke into a clearing, a man and a badger sat having a picnic. The man sat with his back to a small weathered boulder, smooth but for a narrow and strangely regular crevice in its top. The man was middle-aged, but his eyes held the dark wisdom. His face was lined and weathered, as it had seen centuries of use. The badger's gray head was striped with white, even at the tips of its ears. "I'm thinking of starting something up again," the man said at last, leaning back to let the sun warm his face. The badger looked up from his book. "Didn't work out so well the last time." His tone was matter of fact. The man winced, but said only, "Could have been worse." The badger shrugged and looked back at his book. The man had hoped for more enthusiasm and let the suspense, as he saw it, build. At last, the badger, turning a page, realized more was desired. "So, what's your idea?" "The tree in the stone. Sword in the stone. You've done that." No swords. They've moved past violence now. This time it's all about peace and growth." "So, the tree in the stone." "Yes." "Symbolizing peace and growth." "Exactly." "How would it work exactly?" The badger fidgeted with a page, but he was interested. "Well, just like the sword in the stone, but with a tree. Shoved into a stone." "Well, yes, could be this one again." The man patted the boulder behind him. "How would the tree live?" asked the badger, who knew more than a little about forest lore. "Well, rain, a little bit of dirt for the roots. So it would be more like the tree in the stone pot." No, just a little crack in the stone with some dirt." The man gestured vaguely at the grass around them and by extension at the rich soil underneath. "The tree will grow. They do that." "We'll start small. The seedling in the stone could be a small stone. So eventually we'd have the large pebble in the roots." The badger shook his head and fluttered his book meaningfully. "It could be a slow-growing tree." The man sensed he was losing his audience. "The bonsai in the stone." "If you like." "Bonsai has oriental roots." "Whatever, then. Happens all the time. A seed lands in a crevice, starts to grow. There's probably one in the stone now. How will our hero recognize this one from among all the others?" "Good point," the man pondered. "It would have to be a unique tree. Our hero is a botanist. I mean, he might realize it's new to him, but even I wouldn't know a tree was unique." "It would be one everyone could recognize, obviously. Gold leaves or something." The man's eyes glittered a little as his voice grew peevish. "The sword in the stone wasn't hidden," he added defensively. "True." The badger gave up on his book, though there were only 2 pages to the end of the chapter. "Okay," he said, settling into the discussion. "So we have slow-growing, unique bonsai in the smallish stone. Then our hero comes along, says, 'Aha!' and pulls it out." There was a long pause. "I see your point," the man admitted, not very peace and growth oriented. "Maybe we're going at this the wrong way," the badger offered, focused now. "What if we reverse the idea?" The man got it right away. "The stone in the tree." "Exactly. I like it. We put a special stone, maybe a gem, in the tree, and the hero pulls that out." "And does what with it?" the badger wondered. There was silence. Then the man brightened. "I've got it," he cried. "He puts it in the pommel of a sword. The stone in the sword. You see?" "Yes, very clever," the badger shook his head. "But there's the whole violence thing again." "Ah, but it's a special stone, a stone of peace." "Aha!" Badger was nodding now. "It prevents war, I get it. Nice symmetry there." "Thank you." The man beamed, his face breaking into the wrinkles of an older man. "I'll have to keep the sword safe, though, or it'll get stolen, human being as they are." "I suppose so," the man admitted, frowning. He leaned back against the boulder to think. "Somewhere safe. where no one could just take it, someplace impossible to steal from. Yes, the man agreed. He shifted a bit to place the comforting solidity of the boulder more evenly between his shoulder blades. A moment later, a slow smile spread across his face and he leaned forward. Don't worry, he told the badger. I know just the place. So, obviously inspired there by the Book of Merlin by T.H. White, in which Arthur is transformed into a variety of animals and learns from them, and Merlin can speak with any animal he wants. I was in Belgrade one day in Serbia, and I had something of an awkward gap between meetings, and didn't have anything to do. I couldn't go back to the office. It wasn't convenient, and so I settled into the hotel Moskva there, and they have a nice Viennese cafe. And I had I don't know 45 minutes or something, and I sat down and wrote the story right then and there. So I hope you enjoyed it.